So as I was saying, this is video number 4, I believe. May 27, 2016. So why keep them in seat nows? To keep destroying their mental state, their disability, allowing them to continue drinking safely in the center when they're allowed to buy alcohol and bring it to the staff and say, this is mine. They put their names on it. They're allowed to drink in the center. Why is it considered to be a harm reduction center where a lot of the staff don't even give a shit? Sorry if I'm speaking fucking truth, but you know what? They don't give a fucking shit about those people inside the seat nows. They would rather allow them to drink alcohol, Listerine mixed with alcohol. They let them drink rubbing alcohol that is for cuts and sores. They'd rather let them drink paint thinner. Yes, I've actually seen somebody drink paint thinner, and I told the staff. And they ended up taking it away and telling them to go upstairs and lay down. Last time I checked, I complained to the manager of seat nows because I said this person was drinking paint thinner, and they didn't even bother fucking calling the ambulance on the guy to take him to an ambulance. That's fucking poison. That's very dangerous for their health. So they don't give a fucking shit. And yes, I couldn't videotape everything that's in seat nows because they would have confiscated my phone. Because it's inside the center. They don't want nothing to be seen to the public of how they treat individuals, because they could lose their job and then end up becoming homeless because they can't find other jobs because of how they treated people. Very disrespectfully. And I think that's against the moral legal right of a human being of how they're being treated. They should be all fucking legally charged and investigated. Especially an investigator going into seat nows and acting like they're homeless people and acting like, no offense to retarded people or anybody else, but they should be acting like one of the individuals who is mentally challenged and so forth and acts out and so forth, and you'll see how the staff treat you. And then when you got enough evidence, sue them. Because no one in the center can actually care enough to fucking have proof enough to fucking sue the staff or complain to the staff. Or to the government, the commissioners, to complain that these people are being treated inappropriately and not cared for. And even when I complained, they said, oh, well, just do a report. We'll look into it. Well, guess where the report goes? Garbage. I wanted to complain to the commissioners, but I didn't have enough evidence because I had no videos to back myself up. I had no physical proof on me that they abused me or they ground me because they don't write things down. If you're caught smoking in the center, then your smokes are taken away from you and you're only allowed to smoke every hour to go outside and smoke. So they're treating them like little tiny children who are being grounded. I understand that it's a fire hazard, yes, but you're also giving them alcohol where they can get so wasted with vodka and everything else that they could stumble and fall off their wheelchair and injure themselves. And seat nows is not reliable because they allowed them to drink. It's their responsibility to be responsible on their alcohol intake. Well, if they can't understand the comprehension of being responsible because they're mentally challenged and they're allowing them to drink, I've seen people fall out of wheelchairs. I've helped people up. I've seen people, I've heard a few people passing, and God rest their souls, and they don't really do anything. They call the police and the ambulance, but there's not really any cause because they call it natural cause. So that seat nows can't be sued for the person's individual health and so forth. So they don't really do an autopsy, or they claim that it's, you know, natural in cause when it's not. They poison themselves by drinking Listerine with rubbing alcohol or paint thinner, and then they end up dying because they poisoned themselves. So you ask yourself that question. Is that really help? Is that really deserve to be funded? Is that really necessary that these staff, oh, by the way, are like literally 90% staff are all black people? There's very little white people that work at the seat nows. and they're all ignorant, rude, disrespectful, and they have an attitude. I've been there for a visit to Marlon Brown, who's in a wheelchair, lost his leg. I met him at a courthouse one day, and I didn't realize I met him at Seton House. Well, he went to a shelter, and so did I. He's still in there. He's still not getting his housing. The guy's missing a fucking leg. And they ended up giving him a wheelchair, or the disability ended up giving him a wheelchair that's not fitted properly to him. And he keeps having problems with the wheelchair. It's not fitted properly for his back or the height, so forth. Leg rest, so forth. The tires on it were not good for winter. Well, it's summer now, but... So why are these people being treated ignorantly instead of professionally, with some compassion and respect and dignity, that they're a friggin' human being, you know? And it's sickening. Covenant House is another shelter with youth in it. Staff are not doing any more programs. They're less being funded because the money needs to be funded to keep the shelter running, but not the programs running. So ask yourself the question, what needs to be done? It's us as the community that needs to be doing something. If we come together and we build a fund and know where it's actually going, like if somebody needs help with last month's rent, go with the individual, help them find a place, and pay the last month's rent, because people are only allowed on welfare based on the circumstances. Yes, there's a lot that were in rooming houses and end up getting kicked out, or it's an illegal rooming house and the city came in and closed down the house. So that was my situation at one time, yes. And the landlord, I had to fight the Landlord and Tenant Act to try to fight for my last month's rent. He couldn't give it back to me because he had to use the funds to repossess the house. How you doing? That's a friend of mine that I met at Tim Hortons. He's a cleaner. Works with the city here in the Eaton Center. So, you know what? Like, something really needs to be done with this situation. You know, and help pay the person's last month's rent. You know where it's going. You've written a check, or you've paid cash. You've made sure that the individual got his rent receipt, paying first and last, and then you go and kind of help him once a week or a couple times a week and see how his progress is going. There's a gentleman there taking a picture of him. This guy seems to be very popular. So, you know, it needs to change, and I'm hoping that these videos will inspire you to put a foot forward. That blood through your veins and that heart speaks for yourself, not for somebody else. You're not connected to anybody else. So stop judging what the other person wants you to do. Do what you want to do. And if you think it's the right thing to do, so what if somebody doesn't like you to give them $1 or $5 or 10 or 20 or 100, or pick them up and take them shopping? If you don't like it, then go elsewhere and let me do my thing that I need to do. That's what a real person should do. If you don't like it, tough luck. You're not my friend because, you know, of how I'm dressed. You're my friend because of who I am and how we are connected with each other and we care about each other. Well, friends and family all over the world. You know what? My last thing I'm going to say on this video before it hits 10 minutes. You became strangers before you became friends. If you can't associate yourself with a homeless person who just might turn out to be the best person that you've ever met, who could also help you and you help them, that's how you become friends, is you care about somebody.